Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's episode of Random Thoughts. Well, we've been talking about for the last 8 episodes of the practical side of Christianity. Today will be the last of these episodes on the practical nature of Christianity. And I'm going to ask a question. Now, if you have seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movie series, there's this one thing that Jack Sparrow has in his possession, almost exclusively. It's a compass. It's a compass that never points north. It's a compass that points to what you really want. And emphasis kind of like Jack Sparrow, but I can't do Johnny Depp's mannerisms. There's no way. Anyway, today's episode is about what I really want. And it has to do with going so far as to covet what your neighbor actually has. We will look into that today in today's episode of Random Thoughts. Stick around. We will be, there you are, right back. Welcome back. You know, what do we really want? The phrase actually, it should be, not what I really want, but what do I really need? But we get those two words and the usage of those two words so confused nowadays that wants and needs all kind of blur together and they come up with nothing, actually. You neither get what you need nor what you want because it's all so mushed together. So what do you really want? Well, what do I really want is to understand what do I really want that doesn't belong to my neighbor. You know, God has this wonderful sayings, there's actually two of them, regarding what do I really want that sometimes belongs to my neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. That's number 9. And number 10 is you shall not covet your neighbor's manservant, maidservant, wife, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. And I didn't get that last one 100% quoted correctly. I am sorry, God. Coveting. Desiring something that doesn't belong to you. Desiring things, people, situations that goes beyond a normal. I mean, it's so pervasive that you would be willing to lie, cheat, steal, beg to get it from your neighbor. It's like, oh wow, my neighbor has like a 1979 Ferrari something, really classic Italian car, and you're like, oh, I really want that car. Not a car like that. That car. And you talk to your neighbor. Your neighbor says, no, it's not for sale, man. I scrimped, I saved, I worked my tail off in order to purchase this car, and it wasn't in really great shape, so I worked my buns off to restore it and everything else like that, and now we have the climax of my work. And no, you can't have it. Yeah, but what if I offer you, and you offer them 10 times the value of what it's worth? You may think that's a shrewd deal. That's stealing. You may be thinking, oh man, what can I do to make this guy want to give me this car? Okay, that's bearing false witness. That's cheating. You know, all of the above. But worst case scenario is if you're wanting something of your neighbor so badly, who's your God? You. So this is the really scary part about the whole context of coveting. Again, Luther understood it. in the context of both the negative, this is what you don't want to do, and the positive, this is what you do want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read from both commandments what Luther explained here in his small catechism. He says, for the 9th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not scheme to get our neighbor's inheritance or house, or get it in a way which only appears right, but help and be of service to him in keeping it. I remember seeing a news story, whether it was yesterday morning or the day before, about this man who owns a piece of property. I think it's in Maryland or New Jersey. I don't recall in which state it is. But this family has, for the last 140 years, held on to this 21 acres. And now, either the city wants to develop it, buy it out from it underneath him, take it away from him so they can put up housing, low-income housing. Now, the need for low-income housing is a good thing, but this is coveting. What is being done to this poor man's farm and his inheritance is coveting, and it's tantamount to stealing and lying and bearing false witness and all those other things. So we have a real-life example of this man and being pressured to sell his home because somebody else wants his property. And he and his family are not budging. They're not moving. What Luther is saying is, we as Christian people, how do we assist this family in the context of helping him keep what he has? Now, if he wants to sell it, that's his choice. But coveting, the opposite side of it, is somebody's coming in and saying, I really, really want your piece of land. That's coveting, and no, we don't do that. We help protect people keep what they have. And then the second commandment of coveting goes like this. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or maidservant, his ox, donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. So what does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not entice or force away our neighbor's wife, workers, or animals, or turn them against him, but urge them to stay and do their duty. Here's the interesting thing. Now, coveting the first one had to do with real physical assets. The second one has to do with people and other possessions. Let's say you are an owner of a tech company. You do AI something. I'm trying to come up with an example. And you see an employee, you know of an employee at another company. You really want this employee to be your employee. So you get on the phone, you send an email, send a text, whatever form of communication you use, and you reach out to this employee and says, hey, I want you to work for me. No, I'm very happy where I'm at. Thank you very much. Call them again. Hey, I really, really want you to come work for me. How much you're making? Tell them a number. I'll give you 20% more of that number. Not gonna leave. All right. What if I triple that? I'm gonna give you 60% of over above what you're making now. That's coveting. That's conniving. That's stealing. Instead of trying to force your way into a relationship with someone else, you say, hey, you know what? Can you help me out here? You say to the same man, I really respect your talents and your skill set. Do you know anyone that would be willing to work for me? I'm not going to try and, would you like to work for me? No. Okay, great. You know somebody who would be able to. I'm looking for somebody with your skill set and your abilities. Do you know somebody? In a backhanded sort of way, you're helping that person stay where he or she belongs, wants to be. See, coveting will do some really nasty things to us. Coveting creates an environment in which, quite frankly, it's hard to say no. You know, value of a person is important. But let's go back to the fundamental words that Luther uses in every single one of his explanations to each of the commandments except for the first one. And what is that phrase? You should fear and love God so that. Every commandment begins with that phrase. Like I said, except the first one, you should fear, love, and trust in God above all things. It's the only variation. You should fear and love God so that. We fear God because He is the righteous and true judge. He judges right and wrong. He judges opinions. He judges motivations. He judges decisions. And He finds us wanting. So that's where the fear comes into play. But the other side of the fear is an awe and respect of who God is. Fear and love God. So I believe in God. I trust in God because God has saved me from myself. I fear and trust in Him. I believe in Him. I want to follow Him. So I will not do what the commandment tells me not to do. And I will do what the commandment implies for me to do. I will do the work. This is the practical side of Christianity. Being those people. And that it applies to every single one of them. And as we wrap up our time today on Commandment 9 and Commandment 10, coveting can be a scary thing. But helping people maintain what God has given them, maintain your property, maintain the people you work with, all those kind of things, we can do great work by helping others because we fear and love and trust in God above all things. All right, so that's going to wrap us up in this segment of our mini-series amongst our episodes of Random Thoughts. So, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Comment. You can comment in on any of the episodes. Go ahead and binge watch the whole series, and let me know what you think. And I'd love to get into a dialogue with you, and we'll go from there. All right. I look forward to seeing you this coming Sunday as we will move into the next step of baggage. And I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with self-delusion. More on that as we get to Sunday morning. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.